Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sylvia. On this channel I talk about everything Sylvia, from my faith to my personal growth, my personal experiences, my personal finance, my family, anything at all, because I consider YouTube as my personal digital diary. So it's more or less like I'm documenting my life for future references, and hopefully someone is able to learn a thing or two from my personal experience and is encouraged also along the line. So if this sounds like something you would like to watch, please do well to subscribe to this channel so that you're notified whenever I post any video. So without further hesitation, let's get right into today's video. So in today's video, I'll be talking about relocating and starting afresh in a new country in your late 30s. Almost 5 years ago, I decided that it was time for me to go abroad to study for my master's degree. And so we chose to come to the UK for me to study for my master's. And at the time, I was able to bring my family to come along with me on that journey. And eventually, we decided to just stay back and start our lives afresh in a different country. At the time we came here, I was already in my late 30s. I'm currently 39, but at the time I started my master's, I was about 35 years old, so mid 30s. So, what did it entail to pack up and leave and begin afresh in another country? So, like I said, I came here as a student. My husband was my dependent. So, it meant that we came to start afresh in a different environment. So, I started as a student. My husband was the only one working. I was going to school, and it was quite a challenging period for all of us because we had to adjust to a different kind of life in a different country with different kind of weather that we're used to, very cold, very dark, or very bright, as the case may be, because during winter it gets very dark from 3:30 or from 4 o'clock. Everywhere is pitch dark. And during summer it is very bright up until 10 o'clock. So that's why I said it is either very dark or very bright. It was a very interesting time for us as a family. Of course, we were excited because it was a different country. We were excited for the new opportunities out there. We were just very optimistic and happy. I think what got us through all this period was the fact that our disposition was a very joyful one. And like the Bible says, it is with joy that you draw out of the well of salvation. And indeed, that scripture was very evident in our lives, because at that time, I remember a lot of people were finding it very difficult to acclimatize. But for some reason, for us, we would not say it was the same for us, because we were all just so joyful, so grateful with the little we had. God was able to help us to be able to make do with the little we had, and it looked like we had more than enough. Of course, it was enough for us at the time. Like, the Lord's Prayer that says, "Give us this day our daily bread." Practically, that was what it was. And we were always very joyful with whatever we had. And we went through that period, that 2 years while I was studying. And it had its challenges, especially for me going back to study at that age. It was quite challenging because um I had left school if a while for a few good years, and then coming back to study, it was very challenging for me. But thank God I was able to pass my grades and I finished my master's successfully. So it came to the point where I had to look for a job. I remember then, I think I had a graduate mentor. She advised me on my CV, guided me to apply for some certain jobs. She said, given my wealth of experience and my years of experience in the banking industry, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this, I can do that. So exciting. Even some of my classmates, going by how much I contribute in class discussions, they were like, oh, you fit for this kind of job, this kind of job. But considering the fact that we had moved thousands of miles from our home country to a different country, sacrifices needed to be made. And the sacrifices meant that even if it meant us starting from the scratch, we were ready to do that. And that is exactly what we did. I'm not saying some people were not able to get jobs in their field of work, from like coming from Nigeria to the UK. Some people were still able to continue their line of discipline, but some of us were not able to. Why? Because for you to continue to stay in the UK, you need to find an employer that is able to give you, to sponsor your skilled worker visa. And that is the visa that is able to make you stay in the UK to work and live legally. And so at that time, for me, the kind of jobs, I would get jobs and get to the final stage, but would be dropped because maybe the company was not sponsoring, or some of them was because of, is majorly the sponsorship issue. I was not lucky to get a job to sponsor me in the line of my field of experience. So I had to think about a career change. It was a very difficult situation. I remember talking to one of my colleagues and I told him we would really need to make sacrifices for our families at this time, because you cannot pack you cannot bring your family all the way and just leave them in the middle of nowhere. If it means us sacrificing our careers for our families to gain stability, then I think that is what we should do. I spoke to my husband as well, and luckily I was able to find a healthcare job that gave me the sponsorship that we needed to enable us to continue to stay and work legally in the UK, and of which I was so grateful for, and I'm still grateful for, because funny enough, interestingly, that is the only job I have done since I came to the UK. I remember when we were in the hotel before we even got our accommodation at the time, was when I applied on Indeed and I got this job from the hotel. I couldn't even believe, like I just got a call and they said, oh, you've been scheduled for an interview for so date, and we did the phone interview because that time it was, we still had some restrictions on COVID, and so most things were done virtually. So my interview was done via the phone, and after the phone interview I received a mail saying I've been scheduled for training, and that was how I got that job as a student. So at that time I used to work 20 hours a week, and my husband used to work full-time, of course. So yeah, so that was the job I got. And after my studies, that was still the only job I was on. And when I looked for other jobs that could give me sponsorship within my line of study, it was quite difficult because there was a little time frame for me to be able to get that job and get sponsored to continue to stay. And here I was with my husband and two little children. I was not about to let us be in a difficult situation. And God, so kind, I approached my employer and they were willing to give me sponsorship. And that was how they gave me sponsorship, and I stayed. And I started working full time as a healthcare assistant in that organization. And like I said, the only thing I would say that's helped us in that transition period was our disposition, was our heart posture. We were always just very grateful, and so we were always happy. We still are very happy because that is always our disposition. We were always so grateful for what God has helped us to achieve, or for how God has provided the way for us, because getting a sponsorship job is always a hassle for a lot of people, and for God to have provided that for us, we were just so grateful. And so I kept working there. So I started as a healthcare assistant, and that was a field that I thought I would never be able to work in. Why? Let me give you a backstory. So, when I was in secondary school, my mom is a nurse, and she used to tell us, not only me, that it would be very good for us to study nursing. And we would say, for me, I would say, oh no, I can't do nursing because I'm afraid of blood. I'm afraid of, just, the hospital environment. I can't give injection. I can't do this. I can't do that. Not knowing that down the line, I will still end up in the same industry. And funny enough, my dad was a banker. And so I just always wanted to be a banker, just like him. I liked the corporate life and stuff. And as God will have it, I was lucky to start my career as a banker. So that was fulfilled. So coming to the UK, the advice of my mom, or the wish of my mom, came to pass. So I started as a healthcare assistant. I remember on my first shift, when I saw the people we needed to, or I was going to be working with, I was just praying to God. I said, God, give me the capacity to be able to do this work and do it well. I mean, apart from the compassion, like if you don't, it's beyond just having the skill. You need to have deep compassion for people to be able to work in the healthcare industry. And you also need to have loads of courage to be able to handle the kind of complex cases that we handle. Like in my own nursing home, it's a nursing home where I work. We have a lot of complex care needs, and which means we have people we take care of that have tracheostomy, people with stoma, people with dementia, people with cerebral palsy, just those kind of complicated health challenges. So yeah, and I prayed to God. I said, God, I know I used to have a lot of fear for working in a healthcare setting, but Lord, I need you. I pray, I need you to help me to to build capacity for this job so that I will be able to do it and do it well. And God really answered my prayers, because within me, He knew I was willing to give my all to be an excellent worker, just beyond even whatever remunerations I would get. I just really wanted to be able to be good at my job. And to be honest, in no time, God helped me. I was able to overcome the fear of all those things. I Now I could change a stoma bag. I could um handle patients with tracheostomy, do catheters. And I think I'm going ahead of myself, but yes. So God helps me to build capacity and be able to stay on the job and become good at it. And one thing I enjoy a lot about my current job is that it's helped me to appreciate life the more, because when you see people, because my job is to help people live a normal life, like to help them to be able to have some sort of normalcy in their daily lives. And it's quite rewarding, and it just helps me to appreciate what this life that we have, that's you are hale and hearty, you are okay. It just helps you to appreciate life the more. And so yeah, I started as a healthcare assistant, and as time went on, after a while I saw an advert. My company was advertising for the role of a senior care assistant, and I remember I think I saw it on the last day of advertising, and I was like, I told my manager, I said, I saw this advert and I want to apply. What do you think? She said, yeah, go ahead and apply. So a few of us applied, and then we were called for interview, and luckily I was given the job, and I became a senior healthcare assistant. And then after a while, shortly, my deputy manager just approached me and said, Sylvia, would you like to train to become a care practitioner? Care practitioner means that I will be able to carry out some nursing roles when they need me to. So I was like, oh, yes. And I remember one of my colleagues said, you never say no to anything, do you? I said, no, I don't. And that is because of the experience and the training I have as a banker. You never say no to anything until you have determined that there is no way that thing can be done. So yes, I never say no to any opportunity. And so she approached me and said, would you like to be trained to become a care practitioner? I said, "Oh, yes, of course." I was so happy, and I grabbed the opportunity. I was trained to become a care practitioner. And so I started picking up, or I started doing some nursing shifts, especially when nurses are on holidays and they need people and they need me to cover shifts. So I cover those nursing shifts, and you see the what's the word now, the wish of my mom came to pass. The wish of my mom of me being a nurse is coming to pass gradually. So right now I'm not yet a registered nurse, but I carry out some nursing activities because I've been trained to do a lot of things. I can change tracheostomy, I can change stoma. Tracheostomy is a, a device that is inserted into someone's breathing canal, esophagus, to be able to breathe well. And we also suction it to bring out excess secretion. So if someone had told me that I will be able to do such thing, I will say it is a lie. But yeah, that is where I am now. And so that is how I have progressed from 2023, when I started working full time as a healthcare assistant, and now I am a care practitioner slash senior care assistant. So this is the journey I am on in changing careers in my late 30s. I am 39 this year, and this is how far. This is my journey so far of changing careers, from being a banker of almost 10 years in Nigeria to being a care practitioner in the UK within 3 years, about 3 years, yes. So starting afresh is not easy, but one thing I will say is that your outlook on life will determine how your transition would be. Because if you see things, if you see things like this as a setback, it will truly feel like a setback, and you will feel like you've lost it all because you're having to start afresh in a sector that you know nothing about. But if your outlook is that, oh, this is an opportunity to chart a new course for myself and for my family, that kind of thought would motivate you, would give you the driving force to be able to push forward and push through whatever situation you find yourself. And I'll tell you that it's been wonderful, to be honest. Not easy. It's not been easy. I'm not making light of it. I'm just talking because I'm at the other side, or I'm almost at the other side of the tunnel. I've seen the light, but I choose to see the light, really. So it's safe for me to say I'm talking from the light at the end of the tunnel. So it's not easy, but your mindset is what determines how hard, how difficult, or how easy the process would be. Because if you are disgruntled in this journey, trust me, everything will frustrate you. From the long hours of working your shifts to the adapting to the cold weather, going to work very early in the freezing snow, to the rain. It is very difficult, but we chose to look at the brighter side of things. That was how we chose to look at things, and God has really been faithful to me and my family. And yeah, that has been my journey so far. So if I would encourage anybody out there today that is starting all over again, especially in a different country, starting all over again from ground zero, I would say just keep a positive attitude. Never let your joy be lost. Never lose your joy, because when you're joyful, it makes the hard situation look easy. That when people look at you, they'll be wondering, are we not in the same situation? Why do you look happy than I am? Or some people would even think that you are pretending. You probably have a stash of money somewhere, and and you are pretending that you are suffering together with other people. But no, we didn't choose to see any suffering. We chose to see and walk in the help of God. So yes, number one, I said, let your disposition be that of joy. Do not let yourself be downcast by the fact that you're starting from ground zero. Always look at things from a positive perspective. Look at the brighter side of things when you're starting afresh. It is not the end of the world. No, it is an opportunity for you to start again. So, and it is never too late for you to start afresh. Sometimes it's not even about moving to another country. Let's say you are even in your country, and probably where you are is not working. It is good for one to think about starting all over on a different path to see if something better can come out of it. So it is never too late to start afresh. It can be daunting, but your resilience and your way of thinking will determine how hard or how easy the journey will be. And in everything, with God on our side, we're able to achieve whatever we set our mind to do. I hope you enjoyed my long story today. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you again in my next video. Thank you for watching.